You live with yourself every single day, every single hour, and every single breath you take. You cannot escape the voice inside your head, the one that speaks when no one else is around, the one that whispers when the world is silent. And the truth is, that voice can either be your greatest source of strength or your most dangerous enemy. Too many people live their lives dragging themselves down with their own words, attacking themselves as if they were worthless, convincing themselves that they do not deserve love, respect, or even a chance to succeed. But if you want to live with true freedom, if you want to build unshakable power, you must first learn to speak to yourself like you matter. You must learn to talk to yourself like a friend, not like an enemy, because no battle outside of you will ever be won if you are already losing the battle inside. 1. Stop attacking yourself. When someone else criticizes you, you have options. You can choose to walk away and never hear their voice again. You can ignore their words and let them pass like wind through the trees. You can even fight back if you believe they have crossed a boundary. But when the criticism comes from your own voice, when it is your own mind that is turning against you, there is no escape. You cannot walk away from yourself, you cannot turn off the voice in your head, and you cannot silence it by running away. You carry it with you in your thoughts, in your emotions, in your habits, and in the way you treat others. And because it follows you everywhere, it has the power to poison every corner of your life if you do not learn how to control it. Think of it like this. Imagine drinking a glass of clean water every morning, but each day you add just one drop of poison. At first it feels like nothing. One drop cannot hurt you. But if you keep adding poison day after day, eventually the water becomes undrinkable, and you weaken yourself without even realizing it. This is exactly how destructive self-talk works. Every time you call yourself weak, every time you tell yourself you are stupid, every time you whisper in your own head that you are worthless, you add poison to the well of your spirit. And if you keep drinking from that well, you will never have the strength to face the challenges outside of you. You must stop attacking yourself. You must stop treating your own heart like an enemy camp. Because every word you throw against your own spirit is sharper than any sword, heavier than any stone, and more destructive than any insult another person could give you. The wounds caused by others may fade with time, but the wounds you cause yourself live deep within your spirit, repeating day after day, cutting you again and again. If you allow that cycle to continue, you will eventually train your mind to believe that you are nothing, that you are powerless, that you do not deserve happiness or success. And once you believe that you are nothing, you will begin to act like nothing. The world will see you as you see yourself. The world will mirror back the belief you have planted in your own mind. But the opposite is also true. If you begin to guard your mind like a fortress, if you refuse to let destructive words pass through your gate, if you defend your spirit from your own negativity, then you begin to build a foundation of strength that no outside force can touch. Think of your mind as a sacred temple. You would never allow someone to walk into that temple and spray filth on the walls. So why would you allow your own thoughts to do the same? Protect the temple, protect the fortress. Refuse entry to words that destroy you. And when those destructive words appear, because they will, you must replace them with words of strength. Remind yourself that you have endured before and you can endure again. Remind yourself that even in moments of weakness, you have the power to rise. Remind yourself that failure is not the end, but part of the path. Speak to yourself with courage, with encouragement, with the same respect you would give to someone you care about deeply. Because the truth is this: the most important fight you will ever face is not against another man, not against the world, not even against your circumstances. The most important fight is against the enemy inside, the voice that seeks to weaken you before you have even stepped into the arena of life. To defend yourself against that voice, to take control of it, to refuse to let it define you, that is victory. And once you win that fight, no outside force will ever truly defeat you. 2. Treat mistakes like lessons, not death sentences. Every human being alive will stumble, fall, and fail at something. It is the nature of life. There is no path to growth that is free of mistakes. Even the greatest warriors, thinkers, and artists in history have walked through fire and faced failure. I failed too. The difference is not in whether you make mistakes, but in how you treat yourself when those mistakes happen. Many people punish themselves as if every mistake is a death sentence, as if one wrong step means the end of the road, the end of their worth, the end of their chance to rise. And when they think like that, their inner voice becomes a judge and executioner, sentencing them to hopelessness every time they fall short. But life was never meant to be lived like this. When you punish yourself for every mistake, you destroy your spirit before it even has the chance to grow. Imagine a child learning to walk. They stumble and fall again and again, but each fall is necessary because balance is not learned in theory. It is learned in motion, through trial, through error. Now imagine if every time that child fell, someone screamed at them, "You are hopeless, you are worthless, you will never walk." The child would give up. Their legs would never find strength. But when that child is encouraged, when their fall is met with gentle strength, stand again, try again, you are learning. They eventually rise and take their first steps. In truth, you are no different. You may be older, you may carry responsibilities, you may pretend to be hardened by the world, but when it comes to learning, you are still that child who falls and gets back up. The question is, will your inner voice treat you like a teacher or like an executioner? When you treat mistakes as death sentences, you chain yourself to the ground. You repeat them in your mind until they poison you. You tell yourself that one failure means you will always fail, and so you stop trying. You carry guilt like a stone on your back, weighing you down with every step. This is why so many people quit before they ever find their true strength, because their inner voice convinces them that a stumble is the same as the end of the journey. But that is a lie. Failure is not a wall, it is a door. Every mistake contains a lesson, and every lesson contains power. But you can only see the lesson if your voice allows you to. Shift your perspective. When you fail, do not say, "I am worthless." Say, "This is my teacher." When you stumble, do not say, "I am doomed." Say, "This is my training." Every mistake you make shows you where you must grow stronger. Every failure shines a light on what you must sharpen, what you must learn, what you must discipline within yourself. This is how true warriors grow, not by avoiding mistakes, but by transforming mistakes into wisdom. If you can look at every fall as part of your training, then failure becomes fuel, not fire that burns you down. And do not think that forgiving yourself for mistakes means weakness. It means wisdom. It means you understand that growth is a process, not a single moment. It means you understand that the road to mastery is built on thousands of small corrections, not perfection from the start. If you fall, stand up. If you fall again, stand again. Talk to yourself the way a master speaks to a student, with firmness, but also with faith. Tell yourself, yes, you fell, but this is part of the journey. Yes, you failed, but you are learning. Rise again. This is how you train your mind to endure. Remember this. Mistakes are not the end of the road. They are the stones that pave the road. If you remove them, there is no path forward. If you fear them, you will never walk. But if you use them, if you let them teach you, then every mistake becomes a step closer to strength. So do not condemn yourself when you fail. Do not attack yourself when you stumble. Speak to yourself with the voice of a teacher, not a tyrant. Treat mistakes as lessons, and you will never truly lose, because every fall will only make your rise more powerful. 3. Speak to yourself the way you speak to a friend. Think about how you treat the people you care about. When your closest friend comes to you in pain, broken by failure, or crushed by self-doubt, what do? You do not laugh at them, you do not insult them, and you do not push them further into despair. Instead, you encourage them, you remind them of their worth, and you speak words that help them find strength again. You tell them, it's not over. You still have power in you. You can get through this. You know instinctively that if you attack them while they are weak, they will collapse. But if you lift them, they will rise. You give them hope because you want them to move forward. That is what a friend does. Now look at yourself. When you make a mistake, when you feel weak, when you are struggling, how do you speak to yourself? Most people treat themselves in ways they would never treat another human being. Instead of encouragement, they speak insults. Instead of reminding themselves of their strength, they remind themselves of their failures. Instead of lifting themselves, they tear themselves down. They say, I am nothing. I am useless. I will never succeed. Imagine if you spoke to your friend this way. Imagine if every time your friend fell, you told them, you are hopeless. Stay down. That friendship would not survive. And yet, many of us live our entire lives as enemies to ourselves because we allow our inner voice to treat us with cruelty instead of compassion. You must learn to reverse this. You must train yourself to speak to yourself with the same kindness, patience, and encouragement that you would give to someone you love. If you can look at your own reflection and say, I am still worthy of respect. I am still capable of growth. I still have value, even when I stumble. Then you give yourself the strength to keep moving. The words you feed your mind are the food of your spirit. If you feed yourself poison, your spirit will weaken. If you feed yourself encouragement, your spirit will grow strong. But understand this clearly. Kindness to yourself does not mean you lie to yourself. Being a friend to yourself does not mean ignoring your flaws or pretending you are already perfect. A real friend tells you the truth, but in a way that inspires growth instead of despair. A real friend says, yes, you made a mistake, but you can do better. Yes, you fell, but you can rise. This is how you must speak to yourself. Honesty with compassion, truth with respect, guidance with encouragement. I will give you an example. Imagine you failed in a task that was important to you. The enemy within will say, you are worthless, you always fail, you should quit. That is the voice of destruction. But the friend within will say, this is painful, but you can learn from it. This is not the end. Stand up, sharpen your focus, and try again. That is the voice of strength. Which voice do you choose? Because both voices live within you, and whichever voice you listen to will shape the path of your life. When you practice speaking to yourself like a friend, you create a constant ally within your mind. You no longer have to depend on the world to encourage you, because encouragement comes from within. You no longer need to beg others for validation, because validation is already planted in your own words. And when the world tries to tear you down, you will not collapse, because you are already lifted by your own voice. So remember this. You are with yourself every day, every hour, every breath. If you are cruel to yourself, you will suffer endlessly. But if you are kind to yourself, if you choose to be your own friend, then you will never again walk alone, because the strongest ally you could ever ask for will always be inside you. 4. Replace harshness with clarity. There is a dangerous confusion that many people carry inside their minds. They believe that in order to discipline themselves, they must attack themselves. They believe that if they are harsh, cruel, and unforgiving toward their own mistakes, they will somehow become stronger. But this is a lie. Harshness does not build strength, it builds shame. Cruelty does not sharpen you, it corrodes you. You must understand that being kind to yourself does not mean you are being weak, and being firm with yourself does not mean you must be brutal. The key is to replace harshness with clarity. If you are lazy, admit it, but do not call yourself useless. If you are distracted, recognize it, but do not label yourself hopeless. If you are weak in a certain area, face the truth, but do not declare that you are doomed. Do you see the difference? Harshness says, I am nothing, I am broken, I am a failure. Clarity says, I am not where I want to be yet, but I can grow stronger, I can focus, I can rise. One voice destroys you, the other guides you. The first voice creates chains that hold you down, while the second voice opens the door for you to walk through. Think of it this way. Imagine a teacher training a young student. If the teacher screams at the student, you are worthless, you will never learn, you are pathetic, that student will carry fear, shame, and doubt. They may try to learn, but their spirit will always tremble. But if the teacher says, you are struggling here, you need more practice, focus harder, but I believe you can master this, the student will work with courage because they know their effort has meaning. Your inner voice must be the second teacher, not the first. When you speak with harshness, you create guilt, and guilt is a heavy chain that keeps you from moving. You waste your energy in self-punishment instead of self-improvement. You tell yourself again and again that you are not enough, and eventually you believe it. But when you speak with clarity, you free yourself from that chain. You say, yes, I see where I am weak, and I see what must be done. And instead of feeling trapped, you feel guided. You are no longer lost in the darkness of judgment, because clarity is light, and it shows you where to place your next step. Discipline without respect is tyranny. Discipline without compassion is destruction. But discipline with clarity is power. That is the way of growth. Do not let your inner voice become a tyrant that beats you into submission. Let it become a master that guides you with wisdom, sharpness, and respect. When you need correction, correct yourself firmly, but always with the intention to improve, never with the intention to destroy. Every time you face yourself, ask, am I being harsh or am I being clear? Harshness will drain you, clarity will strengthen you. Harshness is poison, clarity is medicine. Speak with the voice of truth, but never with the voice of hate. Train yourself to replace cruelty with precision, and your inner voice will become a trusted guide instead of a brutal enemy. And remember this: clarity is not softness. It takes great strength to face yourself honestly, to admit where you have failed, and to still treat yourself with respect. Weak people run from the truth. Weak people hide from their flaws. But the strong face the truth directly, without harshness, without cruelty, with the simple and steady voice of clarity. And when you learn to live this way, you will find that your mistakes no longer break you. They shape you. They teach you. They guide you toward mastery. 5. Use your inner voice to build energy, not drain it. Every word you speak to yourself is not just a sound, not just a thought. It is energy. It is fuel that either powers you forward or poison that slows you down. Too many people are tired not because of what life has thrown at them, but because of what they keep telling themselves. They repeat words in their mind that drain their strength, and they do not even realize it. They wake up and immediately say, "I am exhausted. I am not good enough. Today will be difficult." And then they wonder why their spirit feels heavy before the day has even begun. It is not the world that broke them. It is the voice inside their head. Understand this clearly. If you constantly tell yourself, "I cannot, I will fail, I am broken, I am weak," then your body will respond with weakness, your spirit will respond with fear, and your life will reflect exactly what you told yourself. Your inner voice sets the tone for everything you do. If your words are heavy, your life will feel heavy. If your words are hopeless, your life will feel hopeless. You cannot expect to rise while your own voice keeps pushing you down. Now look at the opposite side. Imagine waking up and saying to yourself, "I will endure today, I will rise to every challenge, I will find strength in every struggle." Even if your body feels tired, your spirit begins to awaken. Even if the obstacles are real, your mind finds ways to move through them. When your words give you energy, you begin to see possibilities where before you only saw walls. You begin to feel alive even in difficulty. This is not magic. It is training. It is the discipline of teaching your inner voice to build you instead of destroy you. Think about the greatest champions, the strongest warriors, the most disciplined minds. They did not only train their muscles, they trained their words. They repeated to themselves phrases that gave them power. They spoke to themselves in ways that pushed them through pain. Their inner voices became like coaches standing inside their spirit, shouting encouragement when their bodies wanted to give up. This is why some men collapse in the face of pressure while others rise. It is not only the body, it is the inner voice that decides. Your voice is either your greatest source of energy or your greatest thief. It can be the fire that fuels you or the wind that blows out your flame. If you constantly repeat that you are weak, you give away your fire. If you constantly focus on your pain, you make it heavier. But if you choose to repeat words that awaken strength, you protect your fire and make it grow. When you are tired, you can say, "I cannot move another step," or you can say, "One more step, just one more." The difference between quitting and pushing forward often comes down to that simple choice of words. Do not misunderstand me. Positive self-talk is not about lying to yourself. It is not about pretending that there are no difficulties. It is about choosing words that keep your energy alive even when you are in the middle of the storm. You do not need to say everything is perfect. You need to say, even if everything is broken, I will still rise. That is power. That is what makes you unbreakable. Look at your own life and pay attention to the words you use when no one is listening. Do they give you strength or do they take it away? Do they light a fire inside of you or do they smother it? Every time you speak to yourself, you are either fueling your spirit or draining it. If you want to live with power, if you want to walk with energy, then train your voice to be your ally. Let every word you speak within your mind be a spark that lights your path instead of a stone that weighs you down. This is the discipline I want you to master. Train your inner voice as seriously as you train your body. When you work your muscles, they grow stronger. When you train your voice, your spirit grows stronger. Do not leave this to chance. Do not allow your words to run wild like an enemy within you. Command them, direct them, shape them into tools of strength. And when you do, you will discover that even in your weakest moments, your words can lift you. Your words can push you. Your words can remind you that you are not finished, not broken, not defeated. So remember, your inner voice is never neutral. It is always feeding you something. It will either drain your strength or build it. Make the choice every day to let it be your fuel, your fire, your energy. Because once your words begin to give you life instead of taking it away, there will be no obstacle you cannot face. 6. Forgive yourself quickly. One of the heaviest burdens a human being can carry is the burden of guilt. Not the natural guilt that corrects you and pushes you to become better. That kind of guilt is healthy because it teaches you. I am talking about the destructive guilt that never ends, the kind that keeps stabbing you with the same memory again and again, the kind that chains you to yesterday so tightly that you cannot move into today. Many people live as prisoners of their past mistakes. They replay their failures, their wrong choices, their moments of weakness, and they torture themselves with those memories as if punishing themselves endlessly will somehow undo what has already been done. But no matter how many times you replay the past, it will not change, it will not bend, it will not reverse, it will not disappear. All it will do is drain you of the strength you need to face the present. Think about this. If you dropped a heavy stone into a backpack and carried it with you every day, you would eventually collapse under the weight. This is exactly what happens when you refuse to forgive yourself. Every mistake becomes another stone. Every failure becomes another weight. And soon, you are bent over, dragging yourself through life with no energy left to fight the battles that actually matter. You are weak not because life broke you, but because you refuse to put down the stones of yesterday. Forgiveness is not just kindness, it is survival. It is the decision to put down what is too heavy to carry so that you can stand tall again. Many people believe that if they forgive themselves, they are letting themselves off too easily, that they are being soft. But the truth is, it takes great strength to forgive yourself quickly, because it means you are choosing to face your mistakes honestly, accept the lessons, and then release the pain. Weakness is holding on to guilt because it is familiar. Strength is letting it go because you know it serves no purpose anymore. Forgiveness does not erase what you did, it transforms it. It turns failure into a teacher instead of a jailer. Look at your own life. How many times have you replayed the same moment in your head, telling yourself, I should have done this, I should have said that, I should have been stronger? Do you realize that every time you do this, you stab yourself with the same blade over and over again? If a stranger hurt you once, you would never let them stab you 10 times. But when it comes to yourself, you often take the knife and keep stabbing, long after the event has passed. This is why so many people are tired, broken, and hopeless. It is not because life has destroyed them, but because they keep destroying themselves with memories they refuse to release. You must train yourself to forgive quickly, not carelessly, not blindly, but quickly. When you make a mistake, stop, acknowledge it, ask, what lesson is here for me? Learn it, write it on your heart, and then let the memory go. Do not carry it any further than necessary. Treat it like a fire. Touch it once to feel the heat, and then move away. If you keep your hand inside the fire, you are no longer learning, you are only burning. Forgiveness is pulling your hand out of the fire before it consumes you. And understand this, forgiving yourself does not mean you do not care. It means you care enough about your own life to not waste it drowning in the past. It means you honor yourself enough to give yourself another chance to rise. If you cannot forgive yourself, you will never allow yourself to grow. You will always walk with hesitation, afraid to make another mistake, afraid to live fully because you are still trapped in yesterday. But once you forgive yourself, you free yourself. You walk lighter, you move faster, and you fight with more clarity because you are no longer dragging the weight of old battles into every new one. Forgive yourself quickly because the truth is this: the world will not wait for you to stop punishing yourself. Time will not stop so you can sit in regret. Life will continue moving whether you forgive yourself or not. If you do not let go, you will be left behind. But if you forgive, if you release, if you move forward, then every mistake becomes a stepping stone instead of a chain. So do not be your own jailer. Do not be the guard that locks you inside a prison built from regret. Be your own liberator. Be the one who says, I fell, but I will not stay down. I failed, but I am not finished. I have learned, and now I will move on. That is how you turn pain into power. That is how you make peace with yourself. And that is how you become unbreakable, because nothing in your past can chain you anymore. 7. Command yourself with respect. The way you speak to yourself is not just casual talk. It is command. It is instruction. It is law inside your own spirit. And you must understand this truth. The way you command yourself will shape the way you command your life. If the voice inside your head speaks with disrespect, with cruelty, with hatred, then your actions will carry the same tone. You will move through life with bitterness, exhaustion, and shame, because you are treating yourself like a slave. But if your inner voice commands with respect, firm, steady, disciplined, but rooted in dignity, then you will move through life with purpose, strength, and authority. Respect is not softness, respect is power. Too many people believe that in order to push themselves, they must bark at themselves like a tyrant, like a drill master who spits insults to break the spirit of his soldiers. They say to themselves, "You are pathetic, you are weak, you must do better, or you are worthless." And while that voice may push them for a moment, it leaves behind scars. It breaks their spirit instead of building it. It creates a life driven by fear rather than fueled by strength. Do not treat yourself as a slave. Do not confuse brutality with discipline. Discipline comes from respect, not from hatred. Think of a great master training a student. The master does not insult the student. He does not humiliate him. He does not call him worthless. He demands excellence, yes, but he does it with clarity, with precision, and with a deep respect for the potential of the student. The commands are sharp, but they are not cruel. The discipline is strong, but it is not humiliating. This is how you must train yourself. You are both the master and the student within your own life. If the master voice within you is cruel, the student within you will break. But if the master voice within you is respectful, the student will grow stronger every day. When you give yourself commands, they must come with authority, but also with honor. If you say, "I must rise early, I must train, I must remain focused," then say it with the tone of respect that reminds you why it matters. Do not say, "If I don't do this, I am worthless." Say instead, "If I do this, I will honor myself, I will strengthen myself, I will become the person I am meant to be." One voice pushes you through fear, the other guides you through purpose. Which one do you want to live by? Understand this: if you constantly disrespect yourself, you will unconsciously teach the world to disrespect you as well. The way you treat yourself sets the standard for how others will treat you. If your own inner voice speaks to you with cruelty, you will tolerate cruelty from others. But if your own inner voice speaks with respect, you will demand respect in every area of your life, not by begging for it, but by radiating it, by embodying it, by carrying yourself with dignity that no one can deny. Respect in self-command also means keeping your word to yourself. If you command yourself to wake up early, then honor that command. If you command yourself to stay disciplined, then follow through. Do not treat your own word like it is meaningless, because every time you give yourself an order and then betray it, you weaken your respect for yourself. But every time you follow through, every time you keep your word, you build trust in yourself. And that trust is the foundation of unshakable confidence. A warrior who cannot trust his own word is already broken. A warrior who honors his own word is undefeatable. So speak to yourself with authority, but with honor. Push yourself to grow, but never insult yourself as you do it. Demand greatness, but from a place of dignity. Say to yourself, "I will not betray myself. I will not abandon myself. I will stand with myself even as I challenge myself to become better." This is the way of true strength. Because respect is not weakness. It is the highest form of power. When you respect yourself, you refuse to bow to your own doubts. You refuse to kneel before your own fears. You command yourself as a leader commands an army, with clarity, with firmness, with vision, but also with honor. Remember, you are with yourself every moment of your life. If you treat yourself like a servant, you will live small. If you treat yourself like an enemy, you will live broken. But if you treat yourself with respect, if you command yourself with dignity, then you will walk through this world as a warrior, unshaken by insults, unmoved by doubt, and undefeatable in spirit. Because the truth is this: no outside voice can ever break the man who has already mastered the respect of his own inner voice. In the end, it always comes back to the voice inside your head. You can master your body, you can sharpen your skills, you can face the world with courage. But if your inner voice is still your enemy, then all of that will eventually collapse. The most important battle you will ever fight is not against another man, not against society, not even against your circumstances. It is against the voice within that seeks to destroy you before you even begin. If you do not take control of that voice, if you allow it to attack you, to drain you, to poison you, then you will never reach the strength that is already inside you. But if you master that voice, if you turn it into your ally, then you will carry power within you that no one can ever break. Stop attacking yourself, because you are not your enemy. Treat your mistakes as lessons, because they are part of your training. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to a friend, because you deserve compassion as much as anyone else. Replace harshness with clarity, because cruelty will destroy you, but truth will shape you. Use your inner voice to build energy, not drain it, because every word you speak carries power. Forgive yourself quickly, because the past is a weight that will bury you if you refuse to let it go. And command yourself with respect, because you are both the master and the student of your own life, and the way you command yourself will shape everything you do. Do not underestimate this. These are not small adjustments. These are principles that decide the quality of your life, the strength of your spirit, the peace of your mind. Once you take control of the way you speak to yourself, you will never again walk through this world defeated. Because even when the world turns against you, even when others doubt you, even when you face failure and pain, you will still have a voice inside you that says, I am strong, I can rise, I will endure. That voice will carry you through storms, through failures, through every trial you will ever face. Remember this truth. No outside enemy can ever truly defeat you if you have already mastered the voice within. Talk to yourself like you matter. Talk to yourself like you are worth respect. Talk to yourself like you are your own best ally. Because once you do, you will walk with a power that is unshakable, a fire that is unstoppable, and a spirit that is untouchable. And in that state, you will not only live with strength, you will live free.